This is Talking My Walking. I am Rodrigo Ribeiro, and today I'm going to talk about economic development, economic sufficiency, collective well-being, and human development. There seems to be unanimity. Okay, you know what I mean. That everybody agrees with the need for economic development, or as some say, the sustainable economic development. I rather think about sustainable economic development as economic sufficiency economic, which means the economics, the political economy, the social and ecological political economy for as part of a system to produce and to extract, produce, to use the resources and the raw materials to produce the goods and services for an economy of sufficiency and reciprocity. Which means that we do not have an economy for the purpose of the economy, as if human development and the purpose of our lives is only to accumulate, because there is only safety against uncertainty on accumulation. Accumulation is the key against uncertainty. And of course we should have an economy that to a certain extent we can have reserves, which means that we can have food, we can have energy, and what is essential for us, that we can have reserves for some crisis or something. That is normal. But the accumulation of wealth, especially the accumulation of wealth in the form of fictitious wealth, which is money or metals that are, or other materials that that we can believe, that we can assume as money. This is only one mechanism for control, for social control, through the accumulation of wealth, through that some special interests and groups can use these mechanisms, these tools, to accumulate wealth, to buy and control property that gives them the power to control society and control the world, because it's kind of the end game, control the world. This economy, this societal system, political system, a cultural system, is not for human development. Of course, if we have an economy that thrives on manufacture scarcity, which means that for most of us we need to look for a job, we are in constant need for money to buy because the society, everything is commodified, therefore we need the money to buy what we need to survive. That kind of system breeds ingenuity, which means that innovation and entrepreneurship is the key to that we bring new solutions and to create new products and to the market, because we all need the market in order to make the money that we need to pay the rent, the mortgage, the food, the insurances, and everything we need to survive, and also to accumulate wealth in order to fight uncertainty as an insurance, as part of as an insurance for us, and we try also to use it as for our posterity, for the ones for the future generations, as part of the inheritance. Okay, so this is the paradigm where we operate, where that's part of how our minds are set to operate. We take this societal model as normal, as we don't question it because it's normal. It has always been like this, and it's what can we do, and we just have to try our best to be successful. What can we do? We just have to sell ourselves. All this talk that that is part of the small talk that we just don't even dare to question if we could think and design and build a different system for true human development. Because, as I said, the economic development brings so much stuff into the market because everybody is looking for profit. Okay, the pursuit of profit and self-interest is the consequence of that, along with manufacturer scarcity, inundates the market with stuff, and that's why we need a new. That's why we need this fast fashion, fast food, fast this, fast that. This continuous need for innovation, this continuous belief, this strong, deep belief in the myth of technofixism and technoscientism, which is going to save us. That's the only way that we can always look for. We are always looking for more innovation, more scientific and technological breakthroughs, and new devices, new toys. Like even we are being prepared, and many of us are ready to accept transhumanism, sold to us as kind of an upgrade. The need for that is going to be good for some medical conditions, some disabilities, that will make the life of people with certain disabilities to become normal. I mean, they are normal for sure, but to become to overcome their disabilities. So it's always this idea of we get a better world through technological and scientific development, because we are supposed to understand it as human development. And but this technological and scientific development is driven by a model of economic and by a model of political economy and ideology that is based on the pursuit of the self-interest and the pursuit of profit and wealth accumulation and property control and power. So we cannot understand in a comprehensive way and the consequences of this type of development, of economic development, if we don't understand that the technological and scientific development to a certain extent is subjected or is totally subjected by the elites, by the plutocrats and oligarchs, by those who are going to finance only the projects that enhance their power and wealth and make them richer. So this is why the real economy, which is the people, the services, and the allocation of the raw materials and transformation of raw materials into products and services that are necessary for all of us, subjected to this logic, the logic of wealth accumulation and power and private property control, the primacy of private property, the naturalization that John Locke defended of private property as a natural right, which is not a natural right, it's a legal right, it's a legal code, not even a legal right, it's a legal code that is only possible because of the state, because of the institutions that the state can use the force and violence and coercion, legal coercion, to support it. Otherwise, it could not exist because it's not natural. So, okay, it's not natural. It doesn't naturally. You don't find it. You have to find it in a culture, in a society, in a system of institutions that we know as the state. So, what is the purpose of life? Is the purpose of life only according to this model, this economic paradigm, just the pursuit of the self-interest and the pursuit of profit, which means that we need an economy that is based in exploitation, extractivism, productivism, growthism, which is based on the manufacture scarcity, which is a concept, a key concept for us to understand the model, the society where we live, where we have to survive, because it's to subjugate us. Even those of us that are privileged, because the privileges can be taken away. The same is true with private property, because you have we feel our property, we feel our house or our piece of land or our car or whatever we own as ours because we use it, we can use it, okay? But they are only ours because there is a legal code that allows it. So there is a property right, okay? A legal code of property right, of property law and proprietary law that puts in a piece of paper or in the digital form that you are entitled to that asset. Okay, but through the law, since you don't have control of the law can be changed by other people, not you, not me. Okay, and in there you can have crisis, natural crisis or manufactured crisis, which is often the case. Okay, or natural crisis or economic crisis that are exacerbated for the purpose of using the shock doctrine, which means to impose. The shock doctrine is maybe many of you remember the book by Naomi Klein, The Shock Doctrine. I don't remember the rest of the title right now. How Disaster Capitalism or something like that. Anyways, the shock doctrine is that it's used to impose a set of rules, of law changes that allows the elites to take measures, to impose measures that otherwise would be not possible, because the people are caught in the state of shock. Okay, we people are fearful. People don't know. People are more open to accept changes. Can be legal changes, the changes in law that are going to affect them, that can be imposed in these moments more easily. That's the point. So, for most of us, that we do not really understand private property. I mean, we understand it as this is mine, this is yours, blah blah blah, and we all accept this kind of. When we just lose our property, is always our fault. Okay, because even our peers, the ones that are of the same class or caste, the same group, have the same share common problems, are affected by the same rules that exploit us, that impose austerity on us, that take away the social rights and working rights. We point the finger to the people that are just like us, and we say, and we rationalize these problems as if it's only their fault. Okay? When it happens to us, we know there always can be elements, always can be one share of the responsibility that is ours. This is true about everything. It's not about excusing or about denying our own fault, but it's about understanding the systemic causes that drive, that are behind the mechanisms. Who pulls the strings? Who writes the legal codes? Who changes the rules? Who rigs the system? And it's never you or me, nor the majority of the people. It's always the elites. And anytime they do it, is not with the purpose for the outcome to be the collective well-being, to protect the poor. That is always eventually the excuse. But the result is always the opposite. So, do we understand it or not? That's the point. Because human development, if we are among those who believe that a meaningful life, and the purpose of life is not merely the pursuit of self-interest and the profit accumulation and wealth accumulation, seeking profit for or careerism by the same token, okay, for the accumulation of wealth, because that is the only way accumulation of wealth and private property and other securities, like you just invest your money in things that you can grow your wealth, because as the insurance against uncertainty. But if we believe that life could be, for most of us, this is not a solution. That's the starting point, which we need to be very conscious of it. For most of us, the accumulation of wealth and private property, the control of private property, it's never going to be the solution for us. But it's the illusion, is the hook, is the trap that they use in order to get us by the balls, let's put it this way. So as that for this, our society, many don't not understand the capitalist system as a debt-based system, but that's what it is. Without the growth of that, the accumulation of wealth that we believe as regular citizens, that is part that we save money, work hard, and we save money, blah blah blah. Therefore, we slowly are building a pile, okay, our pile of wealth, and then we can invest that wealth in property like apartments, or buying bonds, or or stocks, or whatever, or gold, or this or that, and then we build our wealth like that. But this is the reality for as part of the life of the normal people, kind of regular citizenry. This is not how the real world of the financial Ponzi scheme works for those that are truly wealthy. It is that. And for most of us, it's also that. Because most of us, everything we have to pay a mortgage, or we have to pay a car for the car loan, or whatever we have to pay. Okay, or even just to pay interest on our credit card. That's always this, that our lives are based on that. But it's not our fault, because this is by design. This is how the system grows. If there is not new debt, there is not new money in the economy. This is capitalism. The accumulation of wealth is through they use these big companies in this financial in a financialized economy, especially in the financialized economies, that is used as leverage. That's how they leverage and they can concentrate their assets. They can accumulate more and more by using that as leverage. And we need to understand it, because we are in the losing side. And this is the connection between this and this is not even economic development anymore. This is just financial corruption. The financialization of the economy is not about anymore about economic development or social development, much less collective well-being is just about the use of money and financial assets and instruments to produce more wealth that is concentrated in the hands of the oligarchs and plutocrats. Okay? This is how the system works. This is not fiction. This is not conspiracy theories. This can be perfectly. Anyone can find the information, the knowledge, the data to assess, to verify it by ourselves, and we need to understand this because the game is rigged against us. So it is not never on our this system, this economic system, where the fight against uncertainty, because the system is based on a certain uncertainty, since it's based on manufactured scarcity, which is uncertainty, it generates uncertainty, right? And you only need more wealth and more wealth because you cannot feel there is no sufficiency. The sufficiency concept is out of the equation. And what we really need is a political economy that is not sustainable development, but it is a sufficiency and reciprocity economy. A social and ecological political economy based on sufficiency and reciprocity. This is the true fight against an economy that that makes us become these useful idiots that we try hard, even when the economy is not anymore functioning for us. Is not. We are losing. We are losing the living standards. We are not growing them. Nevertheless, we are supposed to pursue our self-interest, and we should try to work hard, and we should do this and do that, to be innovative and to be entrepreneurs, that we seek profits, because that's how we can accumulate wealth and own property in order to feel more safe, economically and financially speaking. Okay, but this is a trick. This is a trap, and most of us, do not really get it. We need economic development, but again, what I mean by development is that we need an economy, a functional economy, okay? An economy that is able to provide the goods and services that all of us need. And okay, we can also have development in the techno and techno-scientific techno-scientific development, but it should be for the purpose of under the rules of sufficiency and reciprocity economy. That's the point. No, I think these two words are really key, because it doesn't make any sense that our economy needs always to grow, because we need this is really absurd, because we need to grow the economy, so we need innovation, and we need more technological innovation, and we need we need more resources, and we need. I mean, it's really about plunder, and it's not for the purpose of satisfying human needs. It's for the purpose of profit. Is the pursuit of profit and interest and wealth accumulation and power. That's why we need to understand these things in two different things. An economy doesn't need necessarily, or doesn't depend necessarily, in wealth accumulation and the pursuit of self-interest in order to work. It doesn't mean, and innovation is necessary, but innovation should not be, should not become a kind of a deity, or technofixism, because we have this new religion that I call it technoscientism, that just makes us as deluded as the people that believe in the some of the myths and dogmas, religious beliefs, myths and dogmas. It's not different. It seems more rational. It seems more logical. It is more. But it's not. Doesn't mean that it's more factual, because there are many things that are. I'm not trying to play with words. Okay. I'm not trying to framing the reality just using different words and nothing changes, and the point is to try to make people think the need to use different concepts is not just okay, no, it's really to disrupt, is really to make us think about the reality we have. It works. We can see it working. We can see China developing. Okay, how fast we can build things, stuff. We can use resources and transform them into bridges and airplanes and airfields and airports and ports and so many infrastructure and manufactured products and other things that in our system the economy needs to expand. This is exactly the point, that economic development is about expansion, it's about growth, it's about because since the system is a debt-based system, there is the need for new debt to pay the old debt. And since there is the problem that most people don't understand, the problem of interest and compound interest, the debt is unpayable, cannot be paid. It's just an impossibility. That's how the system works. We cannot really, but nonetheless, we have this moral code, this moral belief about that even we think that is sacrosanct, because again, we don't understand that. We don't understand how money is created. We don't understand how the financial and banking institutions and all these these institutions and organizations really work. Otherwise, if you would understand the reality of the financial and banking system and monetary system, we would understand that debt is not sacrosanct. It's sacrosanct among us. That if I owe you something, I should pay it back. But that's not how the system works. And that's this difference that we need to really understand, that there is the same moral code, okay, that we apply to each other. It is not reasonable to use it to understand macroeconomics, to understand the mechanisms through which money is created and allocated, and how these big institutions, work. It's not about demonizing the state. We need the state. It's about truly democratizing the state. And this has to do also, that's why the economy, the sufficiency and reciprocity economy is the key for a class-less society and for the use of the precautionary principle, to follow the precautionary principle, to apply it to the economy and society, for a culture of true liberation. Is a culture, true liberation, to humanize us. Because that's for sure that we might have this facade of sophistication and technologization and whateverization, but the pursuit of self-interest, the pursuit of profit, the commodification of everything, the shallowness of our culture, and it just dehumanizes us. It truly dehumanizes us. We do not have human development. We have human dehumanization. And now we want to correct it with transhumanism and technofascism. I mean, what could go wrong? This is why the dominant narratives, which means the dominant framing, okay, the dominant symbols that are the dominant patterns, that the dominant tools, the cognitive tools, intellectual tools that we use to analyze reality do lead us, do not allow us to liberate ourselves from the orthodox understanding of how the economy works, how society, how TINA, there is no alternative, which that's how we perceive. That's so many people, good people, I mean, well-intentioned people, and they operate under these boundaries. They don't really understand. They never question TINA. There is no alternative. The default system for them, for most of us, probably, I believe, all around the world, in every single country, from the very wealthy to the very poor, that is TINA, the default system. We have just people do not question the existing system because they assume the alternative would be communism or socialism, and that is bad. So besides these boundaries, people seem unable to think, to use their creative imagination, to question, to try to understand the roots of the problems. But that's what we need to do. This is exactly what we need to do. Otherwise, we are victims, literally victims of manipulation, of perception manipulation, of cognitive warfare, of psychological war by most, or those we trust. For why sometimes we do not even question why do we trust the people, the influencers, the authorities, the leaders, the heroes, the saviors that we trust, the ones that because of whatever reason they are demagogues in most cases. Some are more successful, others are less successful. But they don't. They are sophists. They use sophism. They want to win. They don't care about the truth. But the only path to freedom, to liberation, to a culture of liberation, is truth, trust, and freedom. Truth, trust, and justice. But trust is key. We cannot trust. We should trust. It should be easy to trust, but it must not be. We need to be cautious. We need to be skeptical. We need to be critical, analytical. Otherwise, we just end up trust the people, the organizations, the groups, the political parties that will use us as tools, useful idiots, cannon fodder. They don't care about us. I always repeat it again and again because it's the truth. This is a culture. This is the basis of a culture of the pursuit of self-interest and profit and control and private property. And this is not. This is why we need to break the chains. Mental chains, mind chains that keep us on the hook. We are kept blind by taboos and dogmas, by intellectual and cultural, ideological, psychological boundaries that we do not see. We cannot. We think they don't exist because whatever we believe, it is part of our freedom of choice, and decision, and our free thought, the ability that we believe, we strongly believe, and that is part of, it's a dogma. It's a myth that we believe we are free thinkers. None of us is a free thinker, because the only thing that is that we could say it is free is the ability to think, not the thinking process. It's not the thinking process itself, because the thinking process itself already is using material that is not totally ours, that is never ours, from the language we use. The knowledge from the language we use to the concepts, the ideas, the narratives, the perception, the way we perceive things, this is never totally ours. This is part of the collective process. This is part, that's why the dominant narratives, that's why the system, there is a structural frame of thought and understanding of reality that we absorb, that by which we are colonized, colonized, our minds are colonized, and we operate, our perception operates on that basis. I mean, the basis of a critical thinking process, not free process, but critical thinking process, needs to operate, needs to be. We need to develop a conscious understanding, okay, of this reality, in order to build a process, a conscious process of critical analysis. It's not the other way around. So we need first to understand how critical thinking, how critical analysis can be used, and how can we practice it in order to deconstruct the myths, the dogmas, the taboos that inhibit us to understand the reality, because that's what they do. They create boundaries. They keep us inside the walls, or inside the box, if you prefer. And it's only when the moment arrives, when it is clear for you that they exist, they are there, they live within your subconscious mind, they live in your subconscious mind, they don't live elsewhere, they are alive there, that you then start to understand that most of what you think about yourself, how you perceive yourself and the world and the economy and what development is, and so many, the cultural wars and counter-culture wars and ideological wars and counter-ideological wars that are going on in the ether, in the media. I mean, whatever media, legacy media, alternative media, social media, doesn't matter. Every year, it is misinformation, that is true, misinformation, disinformation, blatant lies, manipulation, perception manipulation, propaganda 101. It's full of rubbish everywhere. Because, you know why? Because most people are operating under the same problem, the same frame, which is the pursuit, okay, of self-interest, is the need to survive in this system. And only if you are willing to sacrifice it, to try their best, to be intellectually honest, to tell the truth as they can see it, as far as they can see it, because we all have limits and flaws. This is another rule. And so we need each other to correct us and to make it possible to build a really the more accurate version of the reality. Okay, we are not supposed to lecture. We are supposed to support each other, to cooperate, to learn with each other, not to lecture, not to tell the other ones what the truth is. That's why we are not supposed to behave as authorities or as leaders or as saviors. And when we do it, or when you see people that they assume it, you already should raise a flag, because either they don't understand it or they are fake. Because if someone pretends to be an authority on anything, an expert or whatever they are, and the first thing they don't tell you that they have limits, that whatever they are talking about, there is limits, cognitive limits, there is intellectual limits, because that's how we operate as human beings, as individuals, as individual organisms, living organisms, socio-cultural living organisms that depend on each other. So this is already why we all just take it as, because we all need the money. So we all live in this manufactured scarcity, and either we understand it as politically, as a political reality, with the economic and social and cultural consequences, or we start immediately to operating our analysis conditioned by some taboos and dogmas about the system where we have to survive. And this is the reality. This is not any conspiracy theories. And this is why it is necessary for us to really have a conscious, to engage in a conscious transformative process of learning, of challenging the concepts, the narratives, the language framing, and all what is behind the facade that what kind of facade whoever tries to sell it to us. Because this is exactly the problem. Everybody is in a kind of mode of selling something to other people. And that is already a problem, a huge problem. That we need to understand, to have a comprehensive, holistic understanding of that reality. For those that eventually listen to my words, my monologue, and think, this guy is just stating the obvious. Yeah, I'm just stating the obvious. It's true. But does it change anything? You know why? It's another point that I always try to emphasize. It's not because we intellectually have the ability to understand the obvious that we change, that the dominant narratives in our brains, in our subconscious mind, is going to change. Because you go back to your normality. You understand something intellectually, but you go back to your normality. To the normality of selling yourself. To the normality of pursuing the self-interest and the pursuit of profit, and try to accumulate, to feel safe. you know. That's why change, really defiance and dissent only comes through a conscious transformative process, not just the intellectual ability to perceive the obvious. Old habits die hard. Everybody knows it. And this is true for physical habits, behavior, whatever. And surely it is also true about mind habits, about how our thoughts operate. Behind every habit, every behavior, every consumption, behavior, how we relate to each other, and everything we do physically, there is a correspondence, a mind correspondence, a psychological and cognitive affective correspondence. And there are these narrative paradigms, the dominant narrative paradigms that support it. And only when they become to lose dominance, to be replaced in terms of dominance by others, that your behavior, your consumer behavior, your habits, your how you behave towards other people and all the rest also starts to change. So the dominant cognitive affective narratives are always important, are always what matters, because they contain the ideas, the values, the principles that structure our identity. And for many of us, there is math, there is lots of science, psychology, theories, behavioral psychology, social psychology, psychology of this and psychology of that, social neuroscience and other cognitive science and all the rest, cognitive linguistics and all the rest. That is important, this knowledge. I don't want to bash it, but sometimes common sense. We also need common sense, and to develop our really ability as critical thinkers, not as free thinkers. Okay, again, I want to re-emphasize it. And then we can also learn what we can use the scientific knowledge, but do not take it as the truth. Take it as tools that you can use and then use your common sense. And you might understand how your mind really, truly works. How knowledge is acquired. How information becomes dominant. Why ideas have consequences. What is culture? And all the rest. And you can do it yourself. And you should do it. If freedom really is important for you. We can either design and build an economy and a culture and a political system, for sure a political economy and a culture, for a culture of liberation and to humanize us, or we can have the system we have now, this civilizational imperialistic paradigm and this capitalist liberal order, this so-called international rules-based order, that is the war coming or what? I don't know where these blasts come from, but all right. Maybe from maybe a nearby stone, whatever. I don't know. Okay, never mind. For the moment, at least. So we can have an economy, because the economy is a subunit, is a subsystem of the society, okay? Which by itself, the society is a subsystem of the environment, of nature. The cities we have, the societies we have, they are built on a physical system. You know, we need the earth systems to support our social system. And the economy is just how we organize it. That's why we cannot have an economy. We can only have a political economy. That we decide how do we organize our societies, how do we provide. And we should really defy, challenge, question the existing system, because it is dysfunctional. It seems to its functions, but it functions in a dysfunctional way, which means that it needs to generate a lot of unnecessary consequences, externalities. It operates in order to create, to create wealth, to give the opportunity to a few, to the top of the pyramid, to accumulate wealth and property that is not needed. That whoever tells you that there is the need for an economy to operate this way, that the objective, the goal of the economy is to create these wealthy people, because it is. That's what people need to understand. We have this economic system because it creates and reinforces and enhances the accumulation of wealth on the top of the pyramid, of the social pyramid. That's why we have it. Otherwise, it would be gone many, maybe centuries ago. And we need to, this is something that we truly need to understand. If we want to have an economy and a culture and a society that really liberates us, that really allows us, human beings, that really allows the human development to flourish, that we can flourish as human beings, not just as tools and cogs in a machine. That we need to have a role and a function, and if we just want to be a human being and to really fulfill that you feel as part of nature, and you want to have a different paradigm, is existential paradigm that you follow, that you want your mind to follow, you are in trouble. Because you cannot operate, even not cognitive dissonance helps you. It is really difficult. So, I truly believe that we should have a comprehensive analysis around many of the topics that I tried to point out today, and not only today, but I'm just a voice in the wilderness, literally. Who cares about this? And even those who cares might only listen to the beginning of my dissertation or monologue, and then they just don't listen the rest, and therefore they don't get the point. Not because I'm a truth teller, that's not the point, but because I try hard to be an honest human being. And by honest, I mean with integrity. I try to be the best I can. It has been a long way to the moment, and it's very difficult for me because I don't live. I'm not on the edge, but it's truly difficult. My life is not easy. In economically speaking, I'm not free. And that's one of the things that this society makes you dependent on the family or friends or a job, or it transforms you into. We talk about that's it. We don't understand freedom, and we need to understand it. What is really true freedom, and how we can have an economy and a culture and the political system that truly helps us to build the human freedom that allows ourselves to build a really meaningful existence with a purpose that is not defined by the pursuit of self-interest and profit and wealth accumulation and private property, because that's we are defined by that. There is nothing else defining most of the people's lives. It is really, and we just take it as granted, as normal. That's not normal. That's an absurdity. That we, just because we have this extraordinary ability, neuroplasticity and the behavioral plasticity and cultural plasticity and adaptability, that we can do it, that we can really survive almost in any condition, even when we are just subjected to a system that humanizes us, which is the case. This is pretty obvious to me, and I didn't came to this conclusion. It's always a process. That's why I'm always talking about that we need to understand reality as system, as we have to have a systemic understanding, a process, system, and I'm missing another one, but this is basically that if we don't understand life as a process, and the system, the social system, the economic system as a process, and as a system, or a system of systems, a complex system, we don't understand the reality. Because this is not things, this is not static. As life is not static, it's a living process. Okay, I'm going to end it here for today. Thank you for listening. I will be back soon.